We're now joined live from embattled Gaza by human rights activist Adi Mormesh, joining us here on the programme. And it's a pleasure to see you today. Thank you for coming on. Israeli officials hailing the operation as a successful series of pinpoint strikes with minimal collateral damage. Does that sound about right to you, or...?
I've just come back from Shifa Hospital, and every single ambulance that comes in every 10 minutes was elderly or children coming in to the hospital. I've seen a girl arrive earlier on, and she didn't have a hand that was just pulled out of the ambulance. It is the civilians who are the vast amount of the injured that are coming into Shifa. We just spent time in the intensive care unit. There was a little girl that arrived. She's only 1 year old, Hanin Tafish, and she was not showing any signs of life. They were saying that she was hemorrhaging. Her little body was being moved around, and then about an hour afterwards we heard that she too had passed away. This was from another airstrike. There are so many children and men and women who are being killed, being injured, and this is a massive crime against a defenceless population. We've seen it before with the Operations Castbed. They killed 330 children then, 1,400 people, over 1,000 civilians. What's going to happen now? How on earth have we allowed this to take place? Again, this kind of carnage is developing. There will be more blood, and we know that Israel does not hesitate for 1 second about killing lots and lots of civilians. These are crimes against humanity and war crimes, as the United Nations report exposed in the previous attacks on Gaza. And
well,
of course...
sorry to jump in here very quickly. I spoke to an Israeli official PR man just last hour, and he was describing the deaths of children as simply collateral damage. And moments ago, Britain's Foreign Secretary William Hague said Hamas must bear the main responsibility. Your thoughts?
Well, this is just the absolutely despicable, typical narrative coming out from Western governments, given that, for a start, the beginning of these attacks began on Thursday, the 8th of November, when Duka was killed, and he was a 13-year-old who was playing football near the eastern side of the border. This was a murder, and this supposedly provoked a response. A jeep came by, there were some rockets sent over, and these were Israeli soldiers. This is a military occupation, the longest in modern history, completely illegal, and under international law, Palestinians have a right to resist an illegal occupation. So the beginning of this violence began with Israel. The massive amounts of killed and injured are on the Palestinian side, as always, just like in March when over 20 Palestinians were killed, and it was initiated by Israel. It was an initial strike.
Well, I mean, certainly Russia is for one, saying that Israel is using a disproportionate level of force when it comes to its retaliation to the Palestinians. But it must also be mentioned that there are two sides to this, and both sides are using weapons here. Do you tell us here at RT what is being done by Hamas to protect civilians? Are people able to reach the bomb shelters in time and get the the medicine that they need?
How on earth can there be any bomb shelters in Gaza? Gaza is one of the most tightly packed places in the world. It's one of the most crowded places on the planet. How on earth can people have bomb shelters? People are completely exposed to the fourth most powerful military in the world, the highest fleet of F-16s outside of America. The bombs are raining in on them. It is an attack on a defenseless population. Over half the population are children. There was 130 injured now, and the toll is rising. Currently there are 13 killed. The toll is rising, and we're expecting more and more. Israel has said it will up the attacks. There's a bomb now just heard us in the background. We've just heard the
sound. Yeah, we're picking up the sound effect here on my earpiece as well. If I may, I'm so sorry to interrupt you, but it's a very fluid situation that we have here. It's a very fluid situation. I appreciate you joining us, and I'm running low on time. If I may, though, Hamas has vowed to unleash, quote, hell on Israel in response. Will the movement be able to deliver on this threat?
I think that for now, as long as Israel keeps pummeling Gaza and killing so many civilians and so many people, then there will be a response from, I would imagine there will be a response from the Hamas government. There is a continuous theme to the narratives that is forgetting the chronology of this, forgetting the incredibly advanced weaponry that is unleashed on the Palestinian civilians, and forgetting the entire context of the fact that Palestinians have been living under siege for 5 years, where they've not had any goods or a chance of development. Many people have died suicide through not having access to medical abroad. And it's really time that everybody stood up and said what Desmond Tutu said, that this is worse than apartheid South Africa, and hit the streets, mobilise, because if the governments are going to typically buy the party line and this disease of supporting Israel no matter what, despite the horrific carnage I'm seeing around me everywhere, if you would dare come and look at the hospital and meet the families that are now weeping every morning for that loss of life, you would see yourself that this is despicable, the presentation of events, and you can see the numbers, and the value of Palestinian life in the West is presented as less than Israeli life, because the casualties are so much more on the Palestinian side, let alone the collective punishment, which is against the Geneva Convention's Article 33, of the entire population, most of whom are children. It's an absolute obscene, disgraceful attack on a civilian population, and there are so many people who are losing their lives, and the heartache and the scenes of tragedy should send messages to the rest of the world to say, if the governments don't do anything, the people have to hit the streets, the people have to isolate and boycott Israel, the people have to say no more, no more.
Well, certainly, Adi Mormesha, RT, we have our people in the region, and we are keeping all of our viewers absolutely up to date on this ongoing fluid situation. A human rights activist, Adi Mormesha, live from Gaza. Many thanks for joining us on RT today.